Why return to Source? If Source is where we came from, shouldn't we be looking forward to where we're going rather than backwards to where we've come from? Now, in a two-dimensional world, that makes sense. However, in a holistic universe, where we start from informs us of who we are, what we're made of, and the nature of our destiny. Knowing what is essential to me and what is transient helps me from being distracted by the inconsequential en route. For example, if I see my stomach and its appetites as the core of who I am, I'll be pulling off the road at every sign of an eating establishment along the highway and forget my destination. If I see my appetite as part of a greater being who belongs to a family on my way to a reunion with loved ones, I will indulge my appetites only to the degree they facilitate my safe and expeditious travel. Conversely, in my journey of returning to Source, I might experience that I'm a human being with a spiritual nature who has appetites on his way with like-spirited beings to creating a world that honors our true nature and fosters its growth and play. If this were a genuine, deep, enduring experience rather than a passing fancy, then perhaps my ability to distinguish between distractions along the way and the passion for fulfilling my destiny would steadily grow. The fascination with filling my vehicle with souvenirs and candy wrappers would decrease. And balance, clarity of vision, and joy in the daily journey would magnify. The key here is owning that core experience, not trusting someone else's reports of it from a travel brochure or just hoping it will happen someday if I plod along dragging my baggage full of roadside attractions and empty fast food containers. Here's where we must make a sincere dedication to using the best tools we know to keep us uncluttered, focused, and directed every day. We must consciously vow to release the struggle and embrace the deeper satisfactions of our soul's calling in our bodies, rather than content ourselves with humdrum routine softened with occasional addictive sensory titillations. This is conscious work because the culture is replete with all the tricks of capturing our hardwired survival attentions and linking them to artificially induced needs. Witness the fistfights on Black Friday over who gets to the bargain counters before whom, or the magazines that are 90% eye candy. Just as there is now a science of how to push your appetitive buttons, so is there also a technology of consciousness of how to master your mind and take back the controls of your body. But it must be your choice. It must be our choice. It must be now. Tomorrow is always a day away. Take a deep breath and make that choice to re-own mastery of your own destiny, even if you're not certain of how you will do it. Your willingness is your choice. There. You just did it or decided not to. Notice your habits. If you made the choice just now, it can get easier to keep making that choice with each breath until it's just the way you live. That's called mindfulness. If you decided not to make the choice, but to wait until you have more evidence, or trust the speaker more, or sleep on it, or feel 100%, or that can become a habit until that's just the way you live and perhaps slowly die with each partially held breath. The breath is just the fuel to give juice to your intentions, and it is doing that 50 million times a year. That's a lot of reinforcement for being a certain way. The good news is that you have free will and can change your mind with the next breath. This course is about making our choices consciously and increasingly self-caring. That's self with a capital S, which includes everyone in your world. Every positive choice you make to embrace your true source strongly impacts everyone in your sphere. You may even discover that's part of your mission on Earth. I know it's part of mine because it's an experience of my core. So even when I was on the floor that night, feeling lower than worm poop, it was never a question in my mind about who I am or why I'm here. That didn't take away my discomfort, but it put it in a context that didn't isolate me, drive me to the emergency ward, or reach for a pain reliever. My breath was my companion, and even though it was not responding to my mind's prescriptions of how I should be breathing, it never left my side, nor did I doubt its faithfulness and love. That reduced my fear and increased my certitude that I'd be okay the next morning. And so I was. More humble, yet more affirmed in my core that my source is benevolent and always giving me exactly what I need, not necessarily what my mind wants. Personally, I'll opt for the core of love as my guide versus the fickleness of my mind.